Hey everyone, Kai here. So today I'm coming to you with another book review, and this time the book is called The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. So this book I read actually for a book club at work, and to be honest with you all, I probably wouldn't have picked it up, but as I read through it, it was pretty interesting. I was really intrigued by what this book could be. What does it mean to have the courage to be disliked? That's such a bold statement, and I'm sure we all would be intrigued by it. Like, wait, the courage to be disliked? So that for me kind of sold me into the book, but I was very surprised as I even opened the first few pages and noticed that, and I'll show you now, and all my notes, a lot of notes that I took, but the book is written in dialogue form. So the dialogue is between a philosopher and a youth, and basically this youth, he has kind of a negative view of the world. He's kind of doom and gloom. He doesn't believe in happiness. He has insecurities. He has anger issues. And so he goes to this philosopher, just searching for answers. The youth doesn't believe in religion. So he goes to this philosopher searching for answers. Does true happiness really exist? What I like is that it ties in philosophy and psychology, and so the book primarily is based on the psychology of Alfred Adler. And for a little bit of context, in psychology there were three giants: Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, and Alfred Adler. And Alfred Adler was the least known of the three, but the book is based on Adlerian psychology. So a lot of the principles from Adler is infused, and it makes up this whole book. So I almost minored in psychology, so that's kind of what hooked me, because I like this stuff. I like learning about this stuff, but I was also surprised that the book would be would have that root in psychology and Adlerian psychology. Yeah, I'll just share with you all what I liked, what I didn't like, starting with what I did not like. And it's only one thing that really, really troubled me and stayed with me, and still I even bring it up to this day in conversation with people. There's this idea in the book that trauma does not exist, and it starts on page 12, so it starts early on, and it really bothered me because wow, that's a very strong stance to say that trauma doesn't exist. And so I was very confused by that, and I thought it was very problematic because there are people all over the world that are suffering from trauma, and they've been through unimaginable, unthinkable experiences. And the worst to me of it all is the child abuse. Not putting abuse and trauma on levels. It's all bad. But, the author does clarify what it means, but I was really taken aback, and I'm like, what is this book about? I don't know if I'm gonna like it. As I read deeper, basically what was trying to be said is that trauma does exist, but how we move forward from it, that's the choice that we all have. And then, that was more digestible for me, but I was very uncomfortable with this idea of denying trauma, and that made me kind of put a damper on the whole book for me. The book goes on to say we determine our own lives according to the meaning we give to those past experiences. And look, it's that is true, right? So if we hold on to the things that people have done to us, that kind of has an impact on us. When we hold on to the baggage, the ways in which people have hurt us, and we bring it into our present and our future, that can ultimately impact us in a lot of ways. But I did feel uncomfortable with this book denying trauma and telling people, how to process trauma. And I immediately thought of children who don't have the know how to even begin to process the trauma. And so to deny it was very troubling for me. But I'll move on to something that I did enjoy about the book, because I could stay there forever. This actually came on page 39, and it's about the fear of rejection. And the author is basically saying that fear of rejection prevents us from completing the work that we are called to do. And the philosopher shares a story about a friend who wants to be a novelist but never seems to complete his work. His job keeps him too busy, and he cannot find enough time to write his novels. But the real reason is that he wants to leave the possibility of, I can do it if I try, open by not committing to anything. He doesn't want to expose his work to criticism, and he certainly doesn't want to face the reality that he might produce an inferior piece of writing and face rejection. And the reason why that part stuck with me is because I think we all have, something in us that we want to produce, that we want to write, that we want to share with the world, but we're afraid. We're afraid that it will not be successful. We're afraid that we won't receive any support. We're afraid that people will say, oh, this is trash, right? And so I don't mean to be so harsh, but I think that's something that I can even relate to too. There's things that I want to put out there, but there is kind of like this fear, what if it doesn't succeed? What if the thing that I know in my heart, in the depths of my heart, is something that I want to put out and share with the world, and people aren't feeling it? And so it just kind of showed me that, we kind of have to get out of our own way. Don't allow the excuses of, I'm so busy at work, I'm so busy. The author proceeds to say that this same person, I won't read the whole thing, but the same person later on made excuses as to why he was not putting out his writing and his novel, because he has a wife and children now. And so that kind of made me realize some things as well, get out of your own way. Don't allow external factors, don't allow your situation to prevent you from following your true passions, which could ultimately lead to your purpose. Follow your heart, do what makes you happy, be whoever you want to be. Even if it's for one person, you're impacting that one person. And so that's something I always have to tell myself and push myself to do. And so I wanted to share that. Another great part that was really pivotal for me was on page 55, and it's this idea of comparison. And so the youth actually says, if I see something in a newspaper about a person around my age, someone who's really successful, I'm always overcome with these feelings of inferiority. If someone else who lived the same amount of time I have is so successful, then what on earth am I doing with myself? I freaking felt that on so many levels. So for me, Forbes 30 under 30 in my 20s would always, I wanted to celebrate, but it also used to it was that realization for me that I'm not doing everything that I could be doing. I'm not truly living my best life. I'm comparing myself. I'm comparing myself to these extraordinary individuals who's accomplished so much under 30, and I feel bad about myself. I feel inadequate. So yes, the Forbes 30 under 30 list used to make me feel inadequate. And I love that he says that, because for me, what I took away from that is you gotta have tunnel vision. You have to have tunnel vision when it comes to your destiny and your journey and your life and what you're supposed to do. You can't look to the left of you. You can't look to the right of you. You have to look straight ahead, because this is distractions. Keep your eyes on the prize. And so I love that this was actually said, because I don't know much people that are really talking about it. But as much as we want to celebrate these amazing individuals, it also makes us feel like, oh, what are we doing? We had the same amount of time in a day, and we're not able to accomplish all of these things. So I want to talk about that. Last but not least, one of the last points that I took away from this book is this idea of freedom. And basically, the book is ultimately trying to get us to this point where, you know, freedom leads to having the courage to be disliked and leads to true happiness. And so it says, unless one is unconcerned by other people's judgment, has no fear of being disliked by other people, and pays the cost that one might never be recognized, one will never be able to follow through in one's own way of living. That is to say, one will not be able to be free. I don't want to give too much away, but the book ultimately shares like what it takes to have true happiness, what it takes to have the courage to be disliked. And one of the main points of that is freedom. Freedom to not care about what other people think of you. Freedom from, you know, other people's expectations of you. Freedom. This book was good. Would I tell you all to run to the store ASAP and get the book? Probably not. No. But if you like the things that I talked about and you want to explore further, definitely read the book. It was a really good book. It was a good read. I don't feel like it was, you know, a bad one. I just don't consider it one of my favorites. I hope you all enjoyed that review. Please be sure to follow By Kai Books, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.